News Channel 3 starts off with breaking news right now.
I can't breathe! I can't breathe! I can't breathe! I can't breathe!
From destructive chaos to an outpouring of support. Tonight, the Grand Rapids Police Chief is responding to last night's protest. This is video from last night's demonstration. This evening, a community is cleaning up their city. Tonight, we're bringing you live team coverage as Grand Rapids picks up the pieces and as even more people take to the streets of Michigan calling for justice and an end to police brutality. We begin our coverage in Lansing. Hundreds are gathering at the state capitol right now. That's where News Channel 3 political reporter Mackenzie Frost is joining us live. Mackenzie, tell us what you've seen throughout the day.
Hey Kelly, I can tell you that what it started out as a very peaceful protest at the Capitol with a unified message. The people that were there were chanting, I can't breathe. They were chanting George Floyd's name, the man in Minneapolis, sparking this movement right now. But that quickly has eventually fallen apart, as what you can see behind me right now. I'm going to pan the camera a little bit so you can see. And this is quickly escalating. We saw a very tense moment just a few minutes ago, actually, between protesters and the police. They were throwing bottles at each other, and what it seems to be is there's a vehicle that's in the middle of these protesters right now, and that vehicle, it looks to be getting destroyed, and the tires are flat. People are stomping on the vehicle right now, and I'm looking at a line of law enforcement in front of me. If you're familiar with the Capital region, I'm on Washington and Allegan. The Capitol building is right over here, and I'm looking at police lining up in riot gear. These people started out here at the Capitol, made their way down, marched down to East Lansing, and I was marching with them for a little bit as they made their way back here to the Capitol, and now, oh man, you can see there's a physical altercation right now. I'm actually going to move and get out of the way a little bit. I am getting too close to what's happening, so I'm going to toss it back to you guys so I can get out of the way. This is quickly turning violent and not at all what the organizers of this event wanted.
All right, thanks, Mackenzie. We're going to take you now live to Battle Creek, where more people are taking to the streets for a day of protest. Demonstrators holding signs, chanting throughout the streets of Battle Creek. You can see it's peaceful. People are wearing masks. We spoke with a woman who says her father was killed by the Battle Creek police a decade ago. She tells us she feels the pain every time she hears about a police killing.
To the police officers that did it, go easy on these family members. Y'all, the police, they don't know what they do to us after they kill our people. They treat us like crap. They don't answer our questions. They don't comfort us. They don't do none of that. They don't care.
For now, the Battle Creek protest continues and it remains peaceful. State leaders are now speaking out about the protest happening across the state. Today, Governor Gretchen Whitmer and Lieutenant Governor Garland Gilchrist released this video on Twitter. They're addressing the death of George Floyd and racial injustice.
His story, it is angering, it is exhausting. Too many black people and other people of color have experienced the brutality and suffocation pressed upon them by a system that has treated us as less than full human beings.
I'm angry, not at the peaceful demonstrators who largely convened thoughtfully with the conviction of their cause. I'm angry at the people who are abusing this pain to further their own agendas.
They urge people to focus on justice for George Floyd. To see the full video, just go to our website, WWMT.com, or you can check out our free News Channel 3 mobile app. Grand Rapids city officials say they'll use all reasonable means necessary to prevent last night's events from happening again. News Channel 3's Genevieve Grippo joins us now live in downtown Grand Rapids, where chaos gripped the city through the night. Genevieve, tell us how officials are responding right now.
Callie, there's really two very significant developments here. First, the city of Grand Rapids, in just about a half hour at 7 o'clock, will be going under a curfew that goes until 5 o'clock the next morning. That curfew will also be in place the next day and could even be extended beyond that. Now, the mayor has also enacted a civil emergency that allows her to have additional resources like the National Guard. Now, I want you to take a look at some of this footage here showing just some of the unrest that happened here last night. City officials officials today condemning the acts of those responsible. They say police will escalate their response using any, quote, appropriate means necessary to keep downtown peaceful. Grand Rapids Police Chief Eric Payne says police arrested 7 people last night and will arrest more if necessary. At a press conference this morning, he said he did not immediately know where those protesters were from. City Manager Mark Washington says any plans to cause damage tonight will not be tolerated.
I can't reemphasize enough how law enforcement officers will use every appropriate measure to reduce the amount of criminal activity that we had tonight. This is not the night you want to try it. This is not the night you want to try it.
Grand Rapids Fire Chief John Lehman says his crews were unable to respond to fires set intentionally last night because of the violence his staff faced. He says in total, people lit 7 police cars, several dumpsters, and 3 buildings on fire.
This is not an environment that we're used to responding in. We're not used to having things thrown at us as we respond to try and assist in our community. That is not the job that our folks signed up for. That is not the way that we deserve to be treated within our community. And we are out here to serve and protect, and that's what we'll continue doing.
The Grand Rapids City Attorney emphasizing that violating tonight's curfew or tomorrow's curfew could get you arrested. It could get you up to a $500 fine and 90 days in jail. Again, officials emphasizing police are taking this very seriously. They are going to investigate the events of last night and are looking to find those involved. That curfew now going to take place in just about 25 minutes here in Grand Rapids. Police have been going through the area over loudspeakers, letting people know get home, get off the streets, and that they could be arrested otherwise. Reporting live in downtown Grand Rapids, Genevieve Grippo, News Channel 3.
People with bats, people with rocks. I don't know where they get the rocks from. You don't see rocks in downtown.
Tonight, people in Grand Rapids continue cleaning up after last night's peaceful protest ended in vandalism. News Channel 3's George Rodas joins us now live. George, you spoke with business owners who say that they do not understand the destruction.
Yeah, that's right. And it's easy to understand why so many of them felt grateful today because of all the help coming in from outside of Grand Rapids. So many people we spoke to today came in from outside of town, and when they came here, they were greeted to this. Storefronts shattered, glass all over the place. It's cleaner now. Here at Cinco de Mayo Mexican Grill and Bar, you can see this flower pot outside. The managers here, they say they caught people grabbing that and using it to smash their businesses' windows.
Here's when they broke the first window.
Manager Alberto Torres says he can't believe the amount of damage downtown.
He actually had a hard time breaking that window.
He also witnessed looting at the business next door. He says what he sees makes no sense at all.
I think there's a different way to get attention from people. Like, you can block one street, stop the traffic or something, but doing damage to business it's tough.
All around the restaurant on Monroe Center Street are signs of the trouble. So many businesses here have windows boarded up. This video from early Sunday morning shows cars on fire. Cody Sharp shot the footage.
And then to see it like right in front of you, happen right in front of you, the looting, the rioting, 5 cop cars burning. Crazy.
He spent the night breaking up fights and putting out other fires.
You know, everything was peaceful, but then there's those people in the group that just took it to the next level, and they started, you know, breaking windows and lighting stuff on fire.
This family drove to town to help clean up the mess those people created.
To have yourself heard peacefully, that I would stand for. But to just blatantly destroy things to make a point, it defeats the purpose of what you're trying to prove.
We don't know what's happened to our country, our city, but it's definitely degraded.
Even amongst the rubble, the debris, the broken glass, some signs of hope, literally, as we found some people going around spreading messages of love, peace, joy, strength on some of the business fronts here that have been damaged or destroyed. So something positive to take from all of this. We're live in Grand Rapids. George Rodas, News Channel 3.
Thanks, George. Well, with people in Grand Rapids waking up this morning to that debris, that destruction, the city came together. News Channel 3's Trisha McCauley was in Grand Rapids this morning as people tried to turn their city around.
More than 50 community members brought their shovels and brooms to downtown Grand Rapids to get to work. Stan Suring says he's been cleaning up glass off the streets since 6:30 in the morning.
I mean, the sunshine is a beautiful day, but the turnaround seems so different. I just hope it doesn't happen again tonight, right?
Just a few hours before the sun came up, Grand Rapids was a different scene. The protest in honor of George Floyd started peaceful but turned violent. Witnesses say protesters began smashing windows, tagging buildings, police cars were set on fire, and law enforcement say they had to use tear gas on the crowd. Many community members say they were not happy to see things get violent and destructive in their city.
Honestly, it kind of made me feel sad, so I came to see the damage to the city and decided I wanted to help out clean up.
Gertrude Kroom says she worked with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. during the civil rights movement, and she says violence is not the way to get things done.
There was a disturbance last night. Mistakes were made. But the point is that we have to come together, clean up, then sit down at the table and clean up in that way too, because this is a mess nationwide, and we got to do something about it. We can't keep sweeping it under the rug.
The Grand Rapids Police Department says in a statement that these senseless acts of vandalism and violence do not represent who we are as a city. Police say they are working around the clock to hold everyone accountable for their actions Saturday night. In Grand Rapids, Trisha McCauley, News Channel 3.
Protests are not just happening here in West Michigan. Here's a live look in Boston, where people are also demonstrating this evening. Governors are calling for peace now. Sinclair national correspondent Christine Frizzell joins us from Washington to continue our team coverage.
Another day of cleanup after another night of protests, looting, and violence. A vicious cycle with no end in sight. The police presence growing, and new calls for the president to do something to calm the country. The president's latest move designating Antifa as a terrorist organization. This follows a weekend of tweets some worry have inflamed things more.
And that's not helpful. It's not lowering the temperature. It's sort of continuing to escalate the rhetoric.
What remains is a clear divide on what's at the center of the anger. First and foremost, the death of an unarmed black man, George Floyd, at the hands of a white police officer, who we now know had at least 17 misconduct complaints filed against him previously, yet he still had a job. It's part of a system many on the streets have decried.
Hands up, don't shoot! I want to be able, when the cop is driving behind me, I don't have to clench and be tense.
A different take from the White House National Security Advisor.
No, I don't think there's systemic racism. I think 99.9% of our law enforcement officers are great Americans.
Among the other major world events going on right now, we are in the midst of a presidential election, and both candidates have made clear they understand this issue is front and center, on top of the 40 million Americans out of work and the global pandemic.
The death of George Floyd on the streets of Minneapolis was a grave tragedy.
Imagine having police called on you just for sitting in Starbucks or renting an Airbnb or watching birds.
Scenes like this one playing out in Michigan Saturday night of a sheriff walking with protesters, offering a sign of hope, but one that sits in the shadow of fears of continued chaos in our cities. I'm Christine Frizzell reporting.
People are continuing to protest and call for justice after the death of George Floyd. We continue our live team coverage as demonstrations continue here in Michigan.
A brand new brewery is doing.
Protests are continuing in Michigan this evening. Let's go back to Lansing now, where our political reporter Mackenzie Frost continues our team coverage. Mackenzie, you've been there for most of the afternoon, and tell us what's happening now. We just saw you earlier.
Yeah, hey Kelly. First and foremost, I just want to say that I'm safe. I've moved away a little bit. I've gotten a little bit of distance now. I'm going to tell you that things have escalated significantly since I first got here this morning. And the organizers of this protest tell me that they really wanted this to be peaceful. That was the whole point of today. And they said that their event, their organized event, ended at 1 o'clock, and everything after that is something that he was afraid would turn violent, and that's what we're starting to see right now. I'm going to flip this around and show you what we're seeing right now. That's a vehicle that is flipped over, and it is now on fire. The woman is in questioning right now. I'm going to take a few steps back so we can you can smell the flames right now. People are running around. There's that black smoke just billowing out of that vehicle. It's a civilian vehicle. It's not a law enforcement vehicle that we're seeing. The air is getting thicker now. You can see that those flames are starting to come out. It's unclear right now what happened exactly with that car and the protesters. And right now, no law enforcement officers are here. They were here, but they've since moved. I'm going to turn this around again. It's just unbelievable. That's a vehicle we're watching burn right now, 1 block from the Michigan State Capitol. And I don't know when this is going to end. I feel like this is the beginning of what it could be a very violent night here and destructive. I'm going to toss it back to you guys and get a few more blocks away. Callie?
This is video from last night's demonstration in Kalamazoo. It was organized by 3 women, Danielle Ellis, Lizzie Kimmel, and Maya James. James says they never called it a protest because that word can be misinterpreted. Instead, always calling it a peaceful demonstration.
Nonviolent demonstration was like our main basis. We are against violence. We're putting out a message against violence because our message is anti-violent. Black Lives Matter, stop killing. Those were the things on our signs.
James says her and the 2 other organizers were diligent in their planning, ensuring there were safety measures in place. James says it was important to end the demonstration with a candlelight vigil, giving everyone a chance to safely speak their mind.
Cannot.
Well, a bit cool out there this afternoon, but a gorgeous day overall. Plenty of sunshine. We're still in the upper 50s at the lakeshore there in South Haven. That water just looks glassy. Waves have been pretty small today. You know what was pretty remarkable? We got this video sent in by Chris Bassler in Battle Creek. This is something called a whirlwind, or sometimes a hey NATO, some people call it. Basically, if you're looking really close there at that video, there's a little swirling whirlwind of just some grass, probably from the field out there. That's caused by just some kind of rotation in the atmosphere that gets tilted into vertical. Very, very cool. And they're pretty rare, I think, to see those, especially on a day like today. It wasn't all that windy. I'm kind of surprised by that. Temperatures in the lower to mid 50, or in the lower to mid 60s rather, for most of us, but along the lakeshore it's a little bit cooler. Here's how your evening shakes out. We'll fall pretty quickly after dark through those lower 50s, eventually bottoming out in the lower to mid 40s overnight tonight. But don't get too used to these cooler and more kind of dry conditions. We're going to see the humidity really start to increase, that along with the air temperature into early this week. Clouds and radar right now pretty quiet. The high pressure system I told you about yesterday, it is inched farther south and east, and we're still on the cold side of it, so it sets up another night of efficient cooling as we get into early tomorrow morning. Lower to mid 40s, clear skies, then cloud cover starts to increase late in the day. A few showers could start popping up, I think, by around dinner time, but that's going to be pretty isolated. The better chance for rain arrives late tomorrow evening around 8 p.m. through about midnight, and we'll see a few rumbles of thunder, but nothing too strong. And then by Tuesday, decreasing clouds and that much warmer air will be in the middle 80s for highs as early as Tuesday. So first round of showers and storms arrives Monday, likely late in the evening. Now, there's the potential to see some isolated strong storms late Tuesday night. Not a knockout severe weather setup for us by any means, but the isolated chance is there for a severe storm. So wanted to mention that. And then that same threshold will be true, I think, on Wednesday, especially along and south of I-94. 66 right now in Kalamazoo. So we look at the overnight, 43 tonight's low, and looking at tomorrow, warmer still, but still a little bit below average with a high of around 73 degrees. Again, those evening showers. Maple Auto Group 7-day forecast shows 80s are back by Tuesday, and they stick around for the remainder of the week, with the best chance of storms being on Wednesday. Don't go anywhere. Your news is back after the break.
Dangerous weapons seized at hospitals.
All right, let's go back out to Lansing, where we find political reporter Mackenzie Frost live. Mackenzie.
Hey, Kelly, yeah, you can see the police have now arrived, and they are in riot gear, and they've moved this crowd back farther. I'm going to see if I can get you a look at, actually, I'm going to turn this around. You can see exactly what I'm looking at. That's the vehicle that I showed you earlier. It is now fully engulfed in flames. Take a look at that smoke billowing out of that inferno fireball of a car right now. And these police officers and law enforcement here in full. No, please, no. Please not. We are, I do want to tell you, my phone it could die, so if that happens, I'm okay. I just want to let you guys know that. This protest started earlier in this morning, and it was peaceful. It has since turned into anything but. And so I'm going to send it back to you guys. Know that we'll be here throughout the evening as what.
Are you
show you
harmed or something, ma'am?
I'm going to take a look at this right now. This car right now in the riot gear. And this is Lansing, and it started out in a different story. And Kelly, I'm going to toss it back to you guys in the studio.
All right, thanks, Mackenzie. Well, we have shown you tonight several protests, several peaceful demonstrations, and some that are turning violent. And tonight, we're going to continue this coverage, so stick with us online, WWMT.com, on social media, and of course, we'll be back here also. But always, always stay in touch with us, and we thank you so much for taking this time to spend the night with us. We'll see you later.
Sunday night movie